I want to talk about shame today and my own experience with shame and where I think it comes from and how I'm attempting to overcome it. So, when I began my spiritual awakening journey, which began happening probably about 2 years ago, but it wasn't until about maybe a month ago that I began recognizing that most likely what I was experiencing was an awakening. And I understand it's very different for everyone. It happens at different points in people's lives, but mine is happening now. Something that I find quite fascinating about the awakening process is that when your vibration changes, you become perceptive to other vibrational matches. So I found a whole bunch of YouTubers and a whole bunch of channels and a whole bunch of articles online that that have helped me essentially. But some of them, not all of them, talk about this, and so I want to talk about it. And that's shame. Well, what is shame? Shame is essentially suppression, in my opinion. It's the suppression of your authentic self. And I can very much relate to that because I have spent the vast portion of my entire life being inauthentic. I have silenced and suppressed and pushed down authentic truths of my true authentic self and my divine energies and exactly how they manifest in this space-time reality. So when I came down into this life, I chose to be the form of a man, and I chose to be homosexual. I also chose to have blue eyes, I chose to have light skin, I chose to have brown hair. Um, and so because of that, there are certain things that our social conditioning, and especially our parents, put on us that will shame certain authentic truths. So let's take my hair, for example. My hair has been a source of much shame for the majority of my life. Now, the shame didn't come from having it short. That was perfectly acceptable, having short hair as a male. But something that has always been a driving force in my life is the desire to have long hair. And what I consider long hair is like, I don't know, maybe 10 inches and longer. I don't know. I've never had long hair. This is pretty long, as you can tell. This is pretty long, but I want it longer. And I've always wanted long, I've always loved, I remember some of my earliest memories loving long, luxurious hair that people can take and braid and comb, and I would pretend to have long flowing hair that I could brush and maintain and have it and feel very attractive and feel very, very truthful to who I am authentically. But we are raised in a society where men having long hair is not exactly acceptable. There are men who have long hair, and don't get me wrong, some of them look like prime specimens. They're beautiful with this long hair, but even them, making them even look even more masculine in their divine masculine energies, is still criticized. I've seen men who look like the manliest of men, and it's amazing, but they have long hair. And because they have long hair, I would hear them get criticized. And so, over the course of time, especially in youth, because my parents would, of course, cut my hair because I'm a boy, it would tell me that having long hair as a guy is wrong. It is shameful. It is something that you should not do. So what would happen is that I would get my hair cut, and I would always be very angry when my hair was cut. I do remember this, and I still feel this way when I would get my hair cut, is I would cut my hair short, whether it be by someone else. I did actually cut my hair myself a few times, and it would be short. And I always got very angry when I did it, and because the truth is that that was a suppression of my authentic truth. That was a suppression of my authenticity. And so something that I learned, especially starting this journey and my spiritual awakening, is that you must be authentic. You absolutely must. You must overcome the shame and release it. Accept that it's there, but overcome it. And the only way that I think that you can overcome your shame is to accept those fragmented portions of yourself that cause you shame. So, just using my hair as an example, I have decided that I'm going to grow my hair. Now, I've often said this before over the course of my life, is I would say, I want to grow my hair, and then I wouldn't. Or I would get to about this length, and then I would cut it because of my shame. My shame for wanting to have long hair. My shame for having longish hair, and it's long, but it's not as long as I want it to be. I want it to be at least double this, okay? So we're looking at maybe, I'm not really sure exactly how long this is. I'll have to measure it. I haven't measured it, but at least double this and maybe triple it. I don't know. Triple kind of seems a bit overwhelming, but we will see how it feels. Because I want to live my authentic truth. I want to live without the shame of the things that I have been conditioned to feel shameful about. And the other thing, another thing that has always shamed me is I'm a highly erotic person. I'm not exactly a sexual person. In fact, there are some who might even consider me a bit of a prude, but I am a very erotic person. Give me a moment to actually look up the definition of erotic so that I can talk about it a bit more. Relating to or tending to arouse sexual desire or excitement. So, I have always been a very erotic person. I would look at something beautiful that I thought was beautiful, of course, and I would find it very erotic. I would find it very stimulating, and I would be like, that is incredibly beautiful, be it a beautiful man or a beautiful woman, or I would see a piece of artwork, and my mind would go to an erotic place, and I was always very ashamed of that, because even though we live in a hypersexual society, we are still shamed for our desire for sexuality. And so this is something that I've had to learn to overcome and actually accept, and that shame, I have to love it and embrace it and like exude it. I can no longer live my inauthentic self. I must be authentic, or I can feel I will die. I will wither away and I will die, and I refuse to die just to be accepted by my peers and my colleagues and my family. I will not do that anymore. And I would love to share. I would love it if people would share what their shame is and how they're overcoming it, or if they're too afraid to overcome their shame. And maybe we can talk about it a bit more. So, thank you for listening. I will see everyone in another video.